Factsverse presents The Crew Just Kept Staring at This Outfit Amanda Wore on Gunsmoke. Look closer. Gunsmoke started as a radio show in the U.S. and then it became a television show. The show revolved around the main character, Marshal Matt Dillon, and his life in Dodge City. The show ran for 20 seasons, from 1955 to 1975. Today, the show holds the longest-running primetime live-action drama series. There were 635 episodes of Gunsmoke. If you're a fan of the show, you probably think you know all there is to know about Gunsmoke, but maybe not. Here are a few little-known facts about the show. Unlike most shows on TV, Gunsmoke never had a romantic storyline. You'd expect Matt Dillon to at least have a girlfriend or two, but he never did. The show never had a romantic subplot. During the show's 20-season run, James Arness, who played Matt Dillon, kissed only one person. It was Michael Learned from the Waltons. During the radio version of the show, it was implied that Kitty Russell was an escort. When the show went from radio to television, the writers had to change Kitty. Having her be an escort would not make the show family-friendly, so the writers made a few necessary changes. She still dressed a bit racy, however. The crew just kept staring at this outfit Amanda wore on Gunsmoke. I gotta admit, she does look great in it. Before James became an actor, he was a soldier in the U.S. Army during World War II. In 1944, while working on Operation Shingle as a rifleman, James severely damaged his leg and foot. The damage was permanent and made walking difficult for James. If there was a scene where James had to do a lot of walking, those scenes were shot first. That'd give James the time to rest his leg for the rest of the day. Glenn Strange was a real-life cowboy who became an actor. He was 74 years old and died of lung cancer. His passing occurred 2 years before the show ended. Amanda Blake, the actress who played Miss Kitty, took the loss so hard she couldn't continue being on the show. A year after Glenn died, she was written out. Buck Taylor, the actor who played Newly O'Brien, named his third son after Glenn. His name was Cooper Glenn Taylor. Glenn had a significant impact on his fellow cast members. Many fans were bothered by the series finale of Gunsmoke. After 20 years on the air, they were expecting a pretty big finale. The main cast was also a bit confused by the ending because they had no idea the 20th season was going to be the final season. Dennis Weaver's character, Chester Good, had a very noticeable limp. Some people say the producers told him to limp so that he would appear shorter than he really was. Others say Dennis added the limp himself to make him stand out more and to back up his country accent. In the show, it was mentioned that he was injured during the Civil War and injured his leg permanently. Dennis regretted limping, though, because over the years it became very challenging to keep up with it. Roger Ewing played Clayton Thaddeus Greenwood, a.k.a. Thad. He only starred in Gunsmoke for 2 seasons and then just fell off the radar. He said he didn't want to be in the show business game because he was actually a private person. The last thing he wanted was fame and recognition. So getting out of acting was best for him because he didn't want to be a celebrity. According to reports, 26 actors were considered for the role of Matt Dillon. One of the first people the producers thought of was William Conrad, the man who played Matt in the radio version of the show. Raymond Burr was also considered until producer Charles Marquis Warren decided that he was too big. Denver Pyle and John Pickard were also considered. Although Dennis came from Missouri, he didn't have much of a country accent. He worried that would hurt his chances of landing the role of Chester. After his first audition, Dennis was so sure that he'd given a subpar performance, he begged the producers to give him a second chance. The producers agreed, and Dennis gave it his all. His country accent during his second audition was enough for him to get the role. When the producers were casting the role of Miss Kitty, many actresses auditioned for it. The role first went to Polly Bond, but then she changed her mind at the last minute. It would have been an ideal job for Polly since she'd already starred in westerns as a child star. In the end, though, she turned down the role to spend more time with her family. She had no idea at the time that if she had taken the role, she would have had 20 years of steady work. You ever heard the saying, "get the hell out of Dodge," when somebody has to get away from somewhere quickly? Well, that phrase comes from the TV show Gunsmoke. The show was set in Dodge City, Kansas, and the bad guys often use that line when Matt and his gang one-upped them. The catchphrase stuck, and people still use it today. Ken Curtis played the grumpy yet lovable Sheriff Festus Hagen during the show. He first appeared in Season 8, and by Season 9 he was a regular character. Ken modeled the role after a man he knew when he was a child named Cedar Jack. People called him Cedar Jack because he made a living making the cedar posts for wooden fences. Although Gunsmoke was very popular, CBS almost canceled the show in 1967. William Paley was the president of the network at the time, and he and his wife loved Gunsmoke. They didn't want to see the show end, so they moved it to Gilligan's Island's time slot. That was Monday nights at 8 p.m. After losing this prime spot, Gilligan's Island came to a sudden end, a lot earlier than it should have. Many of the Gunsmoke cast members missed an episode from time to time. James Arness was not one of them. The writers and producers insisted he appear in every single episode since he was the main character. So James starred in all 635 episodes of the show. The only other actor who played a character on prime time longer than James was Kelsey Grammer. He played Frasier Crane on Cheers and then on Frasier. He played it longer, but he had to do it in 2 shows just to keep up with James. When Gunsmoke ended in 1975, James' time playing Matt didn't end. In 1987, CBS aired the TV movie Gunsmoke Returned to Dodge, and James reprised his role. Amanda Blake and Buck Taylor also returned. Sadly, Milburn Stone had died 7 years before the movie aired, and he never returned. Over the years, James starred in 5 reunion movies. Since Gunsmoke was such a huge hit, CBS created a spin-off called Dirty Sally. It starred Jeanette Nolan, who also starred in Orson Welles' Macbeth in 1948 and the TV show The Virginian. The show was about an older woman who left Dodge City with Dak Rambo to search for gold in California. The show wasn't popular. It only lasted 1 season. For her role as Sally, Jeanette earned an Emmy nomination for Best Lead Actress in a Drama Series, though. It wasn't just James's war wound that made it difficult for James to work. During the second half of the show, he developed arthritis. It was so bad it made it difficult for him to work the hours that he'd become accustomed to. To make things easier, the producers agreed to allow James to shoot all of his scenes for an episode in 1 day to give him extra time to rest. For most of the show, the opening credits never changed. During the first episode, Matt went up against another gunfighter. The creators of the show liked the scene so much they used it for the opening credits. In the early 70s, just before the show ended, that scene had to be changed. There were anti-violence protests and politics at the time, forcing the producers to change the opening credits. Gunsmoke was a huge hit with both fans and critics. Many considered it to be the greatest Western of all time. During the show's run, it earned 15 Primetime Emmy Award nominations and won 4 of them. One of the most notable wins was when Dennis Weaver won Best Supporting Actor in a Dramatic Series in 1958. Milburn Stone won the same award 10 years later. Gunsmoke always had excellent ratings. Between 1957 and 1961, it was the #1 show in the United States. During the 20 years the show ran, it was incredibly successful. The ratings started to dip when the producers added an extra half hour to the show, making it an hour long. You'd think people would like that extra half hour, but many didn't. Subscribe for more!